The emergency lights painted everything red. Ambassador Jiwan pressed her hand against the cold wall of the council chamber and tried to stop shaking. Outside the massive viewport she could see them. 90 warships. Maybe more. They hung in space like dark metal clouds blocking out the stars. The Hurric Empire had come to finish what they started. "How long do we have?" someone asked. Jiwan recognized the voice. It belonged to Council Leader Tharn, the old Veltheron who had led the Galactic Council for 300 years. His silver skin looked gray now. His 4 arms hung limp at his sides. 20 minutes, replied the station's defense coordinator. His voice cracked. Maybe 30 if we're lucky. Their main weapons are charging. Jiwan looked around the ruined chamber. 2 weeks ago, this place had been beautiful. Crystalline walls that caught the light of 1,000 stars. Delegates from 40 species all gathered in peace. Now half the ceiling had collapsed. Bodies lay under the rubble. The survivors huddled in small groups, whispering prayers in languages Jiwan didn't understand. She was the only human here. Earth's representative to the Outer Rim territories. A pointless position, really. Humanity had only joined Galactic Society 5 years ago. Most species still saw them as newcomers, dangerous newcomers. "We should surrender," said one of the delegates. A Korthan, Jiwan thought. They were the tall ones with the blue scales. The Hrek respect strength. If we submit now, perhaps they will show mercy. "They don't show mercy," Commander Hayek said quietly. He stood near the emergency exit checking his weapon. The human military attaché was a thick man with scars on his hands. He had fought in something called the Titan Wars before coming here. "I've read the reports from the other systems. They don't take prisoners. They take territory. Then what do you suggest, human?" The Korthan delegate's voice dripped with contempt. "Should we fight? With what? Our defense fleet is gone. The peacekeepers are dead. We have nothing." Hyuk didn't answer. He just kept checking his weapon. Tharn moved to the center of the chamber. His footsteps echoed in the silence. "My friends," he said, "we must accept the truth. The Hrek Empire has defeated us. In 2 months they have conquered 7 star systems. They destroyed our fleets. They burned our colonies. And now they have come for Velthara Prime, the heart of our alliance. We failed," Tharn continued. His voice was steady but sad. "We believed in peace. We thought diplomacy could solve everything. We were wrong. The Hrek only understand power. And we have none left," someone sobbed. Jiwan felt tears on her own face. She had tried so hard to fit in here, to prove that humans could be peaceful, that they could be more than the violent species everyone feared. Now it didn't matter. They were all going to die. There might be one option. Everyone turned. The voice belonged to Mirai, a Veltheran scientist. She worked in the xenobiology wing. Jiwan had met her a few times. Mirai had studied Earth before first contact. She knew more about humans than most aliens. "What option?" Tharn asked. Mirai looked at Jiwan. "We call Earth. We ask for military help." The chamber exploded with noise. Delegates shouted over each other. The Korthan laughed bitterly. "The humans? You want to invite the humans here? Have you lost your mind?" "They're warriors," another delegate said. "Killers. We all know the stories. Stories based on truth," someone else added. "They nearly destroyed themselves 12 times before reaching space. 12 extinction-level wars on one planet. What species does that?" "A species that knows how to survive," Mirai said firmly. "A species that knows how to fight. We don't want fighters," the Korthan snapped. "We want civilization, peace, order." "Then you want to die," Hayek said. He finally looked up from his weapon. "Because that's what the Hrek are bringing. Not civilization, not peace, just death." Tharn raised one hand for silence. The chamber quieted. "Mirai," he said, "explain your reasoning." The scientist stepped forward. "I studied Earth for 5 years. I watched their history, their wars, their culture. Every other species in the galaxy achieved peace before going to space. We evolved beyond violence, but humans, they brought it with them. They adapted it. They perfected it. That's exactly why we don't want them here," the Korthan said. "Listen to me." Mirai's voice rose. "The Hrek fight with honor. They use overwhelming force. They follow predictable tactics because they've never needed to change. They've never lost. But humans fight like cornered animals. They cheat, they lie. They use tactics we would call dishonorable. And they win. Dishonorable tactics," Tharn repeated slowly. "Yes," Mirai said. "The kind of tactics that might stop the Hrek." The chamber fell silent. Outside, the wreck fleet moved closer. Their weapons glowed with building energy. Tharn looked at Jiwan. Ambassador, if we call Earth, will they answer? Jiwan's mouth felt dry. I don't know. We're far from human space, very far, and Earth doesn't owe the Council anything. You never helped us during the Titan Wars. You watched us almost destroy ourselves and did nothing. Would they help us anyway? Tharn asked. Jiwan thought about home, about the soldiers she'd met before coming here. Men and women who had seen too much war, who carried scars inside and out. She thought about her own brother, who died on Titan defending a colony from raiders. She thought about what he used to say. Maybe, she said finally. Humans are good at holding grudges, but we're also good at remembering what it feels like to be desperate, to need help and get none. If you call, someone might answer, just to prove we're better than you were. That's not a very hopeful reason, the Korthan muttered. Hope? Hyuk laughed without humor. We're past hope. We're at the point where we call the scary thing in the dark and pray it's on our side. Tharn closed all four eyes. He stood still for a long moment. Then he opened them and looked at Jiwan. Make the call. Jiwan moved to the communications console. Most of it was destroyed, but the emergency transmitter still worked. She typed in the codes for Earth's Colonial Defense Force. Her hands shook so badly she had to restart twice. What do I say? She asked. Tell them the truth, Tharn said. Tell them we're dying. Tell them we need help. Tell them we're sorry for watching them suffer and doing nothing. And tell them that if they come, we'll owe them everything. Jiwan nodded. She activated the transmitter and began recording. This is Ambassador Jiwan of Earth, stationed at Velthara Prime. We are under attack by the Hrek Empire. Our defenses have fallen. Evacuation is impossible. We have approximately 20 minutes before total destruction. The Galactic Council requests immediate military assistance from Earth Colonial Defense Force. Please respond. Please help us. We have nowhere else to turn. She ended the recording and launched it through the debris field toward the nearest jump relay. It would take hours to reach Earth, maybe days. They had minutes. Now what? Someone asked. Now we wait, Tharn said. And we hope that the most dangerous species in the galaxy decides to save us. Outside, the Hrek fleet finished charging their weapons. The first bombardment lit up the night like a newborn star. Velthara Prime's shields screamed and began to fail. In the dying light, Jiwan whispered a prayer to any god that might listen. She prayed that someone on Earth was listening too. She prayed that humanity would remember what it felt like to be helpless. And she prayed that they would come anyway. Not because the Council deserved it, but because that's what good people did. Even dangerous ones. The shields collapsed. The second bombardment began. And in the darkness between stars, a small message traveled toward Earth at the speed of light, carrying the desperate hope of a dying civilization. Without hope, they had made one last call to the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Admiral Deho stood in the command center deep beneath Sol. The walls were covered with screens showing star maps, fleet positions, and tactical data. He had been reviewing supply reports when the message arrived. Now he watched Jiwan's recording for the third time. Her face filled the main screen. Dirty, scared. Behind her, he could see flames and smoke. Her voice shook as she spoke. When the recording ended, the room stayed silent. Well, said General Kangmin, the head of Earth's Colonial Defense Committee. That's quite a mess. The Galactic Council is dying, Admiral Deho said quietly. They're asking for help. They're asking us for help, Kangmin corrected. The same council that watched us tear ourselves apart during the Titan Wars. The same council that refused to trade with us because we were too violent. The same council that called us a threat to galactic peace. I remember, Deho said. Do you also remember the vote? Another officer spoke up. Commander Soman, one of the tactical advisors. 3 years ago, when we applied for full council membership, they rejected us, said humanity needed another century of peace before they'd trust us with equal status. I remember that too, Deho said. The room buzzed with angry muttering. Deho understood their feelings. He shared them. The Galactic Council had treated humanity like dangerous children. They had refused to share technology. They had restricted human colonies to the outer edges of known space. They had made it clear that humans were tolerated, not welcomed. And now they wanted help. We should ignore this, Kangmin said bluntly. Let them deal with their own problems. We have enough troubles protecting our own systems. The Hrek Empire won't stop at Vilthara, Soman pointed out. If they take the council systems, they'll keep expanding. Eventually, they'll reach human space. Eventually, Kangmin agreed. But not today. Not this year. Maybe not for a decade. Why should we waste our ships and our people defending aliens who hate us? Deho pulled up a tactical display. It showed the Hrek advance. 7 systems in 2 months. The invasion route formed a red line across the map, pointing like an arrow toward the galactic core. Look at their path, he said. They're not just conquering, they're building. Each system they take becomes a forward base. They're creating an empire, so, Kangmin shrugged. Let the council deal with it. The council already tried, Deho said. They sent their peacekeeping fleet. 300 ships. The Hrek destroyed them in 6 days. The council's military doctrine is based on defensive formations and overwhelming firepower. The Hrek have more firepower. So the council lost. What's your point? Kangmin asked. Deho closed the tactical display and opened another file. This one showed Earth's military history, wars, battles, strategies, thousands of years of humans killing humans. My point is that we know something the council doesn't. We know how to fight when we're outgunned. We know how to win when we should lose, because we've been doing it for our entire history. The room went quiet. Everyone stared at the screen, at the long, bloody history of humanity. You want to help them, Kangmin said. It wasn't a question. I want to stop the Hrek before they get stronger, Deho said. And I want to show the galaxy that humans keep their word, even when others don't keep theirs. That's noble, Soman said. But we don't have time. The message says Velthara has minutes left. Even if we sent our fastest ships right now, it would take 2 weeks to reach them. Deho smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. We don't need to send our fastest ships. We need to send our closest ships. He pulled up another display. This one showed fleet positions. Experimental Combat Group Talon. 3 destroyers, 2 frigates, 1 carrier. Currently on patrol near the outer rim. They're 4 days from Velthara if they push their jump drives to maximum. 4 days. Kangmin leaned forward. Velthara will be gone in 4 hours. Maybe, Deho said. Or maybe they'll hold out. Maybe they'll hide in the lower levels and survive the bombardment. Maybe they'll get lucky. That's a lot of maybes, Soman said. It's all we have, Deho replied. The question is whether we try. Kangmin stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Seoul stretched toward the horizon. Millions of people living their lives safe, protected. If we send Talon, we might lose them, he said. 6 ships against 90. That's suicide. It might be, Deho agreed. And if we lose Talon, we'll have 6 fewer ships to protect our own systems. True. And the council won't even be grateful. They'll probably complain about our tactics being too brutal or some nonsense. Probably. Kangmin turned around. So why do it? Deho thought about the question. He thought about his own daughter, who served on a destroyer in the home fleet. He thought about the Titan Wars and the millions who died. He thought about what his grandfather used to say. Old words from an old soldier. Because someone has to, Deho said finally. Because if we don't, we're no better than the council was when they watched us suffer. And because maybe, just maybe, we can make a difference. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. Then Kangmin sighed and sat back down. You're going to get us all killed one day with that attitude. Maybe, Deho said. But not today. He activated the communications console. Get me Captain Bora, priority channel. The screen flickered. A woman's face appeared. She was young, maybe 30. Short black hair, a scar across her left cheek. She looked like her brother, Commander Hyuk. Same eyes, same stubborn chin. Admiral, she said. This is unexpected. Captain Bora, Deho said. I have new orders for Talon Group, emergency situation. Maximum priority. Bora's expression didn't change, but her eyes sharpened. I'm listening. Deho sent her the tactical data. Velthara, the Hrek fleet. Jiwan's message, everything. Bora watched in silence. When it ended, she looked directly at the camera. That's a lot of enemy ships, she said calmly. 90 capital ships, Deho confirmed. Maybe more by now. And Talon has 6 ships? Yes. Those are bad odds, Admiral. The worst. Bora smiled. It was the smile of someone who had seen too much combat and didn't care anymore. When do we leave? Immediately, Deho said. Push your jump drives past safety limits. Get there in 4 days. The Veltharan station might be destroyed by then, but if anyone survived, they'll need extraction. And if the HFY are still there, engage and disrupt their operations. Engage 90 ships with 6? Bora raised an eyebrow. You want us to fight them? I want you to make them wish they'd never heard of humanity, Daiho said. I want you to show them what happens when they threaten our people. Even people who aren't officially our allies. Ambassador Jiwan is one of ours, Bora said quietly. And my brother is there, Hayuk, he's the military attaché. Daiho nodded. I know. Then we're going, Bora said. Not because the council deserves help, but because our people need us, and because someone has to show these HFY bastards that not everyone in the galaxy is easy prey. Exactly, Daiho said. How long until you can jump? Bora turned away from the camera. Daiho could hear her shouting orders. Alarms began ringing. 2 hours to prep the drives and load ammunition. Then we burn hard for 4 days straight. The crews won't like it. Will they do it? Bora turned back to the camera. Her smile was gone. Now she looked dangerous. Admiral, my crew signed up to fight. They'll do it. The real question is whether Velthara can last 4 days. We'll find out, Daiho said. Good luck, Captain. Luck is for people who don't plan, Bora said. We'll make our own. She saluted and cut the connection. The command center erupted in activity. Officers began coordinating support. Medical teams prepared for casualties. Intelligence gathered everything they could about the wreck. Daiho watched it all and felt something cold settle in his stomach. He had just sent 6 ships against an empire. 6 ships to save people who had never shown humans any kindness. It was probably suicide. It was definitely crazy. But it was the right thing to do. And humanity had always been better at doing the right thing than doing the smart thing. Admiral, Soman said quietly, what if Talon doesn't come back? Daiho looked at the star map. At the tiny icon representing Talon Group beginning their burn toward Velthara. At the massive red marker showing the wreck fleet. Then they don't come back, he said. But they'll make sure the wreck remembers them. That's what humans do. We make sure our enemies never forget us. In the darkness of space, 6 small ships pushed their engines to the breaking point. They jumped into hyperspace and disappeared, racing toward a battle they couldn't win. But they were going anyway, because someone called for help, and humanity always answered. Captain Bora stood on the bridge of her carrier and watched the countdown timer. 3 hours until they reached Velthara. 3 hours until they faced an enemy that outnumbered them 15-1. Her crew worked quietly around her. No one spoke unless necessary. They all knew what was coming. They had all seen the tactical reports. 90 HFY warships against Talon Group's 6 ships. The computers calculated their survival chance at less than 2%. The computers had never fought humans before. Captain, her tactical officer called out. His name was Minho. Young guy, maybe 25. Smart. I'm picking up debris fields on long-range sensors. A lot of debris. Show me, Bora said. The main screen changed. It showed the space around Velthara Prime. The debris field stretched for thousands of kilometers. Pieces of ships. Pieces of the station. Pieces of things that used to be alive. The wreck hit them hard, Minho said quietly. I'm reading residual energy signatures from at least 40 bombardment volleys. They really wanted to make sure nothing survived. Any life signs from the station? Bora asked. Minho worked his console. His face fell. The station's main structure is intact, barely. But I'm not picking up any power signatures. No communications. No life support. If anyone's alive down there, they're hiding in the emergency shelters with no way to call for help. Bora clenched her fists. 4 days. It had taken them 4 days to get here, pushing their engines until the drive system screamed. 4 days of hoping they'd arrive in time. And now this, what about the HFY fleet? She asked. Still here, Minho said. All 90 ships. They're in a defensive formation around the station. Looks like they're preparing to send boarding parties to search for survivors. So they were too late to stop the bombardment, but maybe not too late to save whoever was left. Wake up the crew, Bora ordered. Battle stations. Full weapons load. And someone get me a detailed scan of that HFY formation. I want to know where their flagship is. Alarms rang through the ship. Bora heard the sounds of hundreds of boots running to stations. Weapon systems coming online. Fighter pilots scrambling to their craft. Talon Group had been waiting for this moment since they jumped into hyperspace. Now it was time to introduce the HFY to humanity. All ships reporting ready. her communications officer announced. Destroyers Hawk, Eagle, and Falcon are standing by. Frigates Storm and Thunder are in position. All fighters are loaded and ready to launch. Good, Bora said. She pulled up the tactical display. The wreck formation looked solid. Ships arranged in layers, creating a defensive sphere with the flagship at the center. It was a textbook defensive position, perfect for stopping a conventional attack. Humans didn't do conventional attacks. Minho, Bora said. You see that formation? Yes, Captain. What's wrong with it? Minho studied the display. It's too tight. If we can penetrate the outer layer, the inner ships will have difficulty getting clean shots without hitting their own forces. Exactly, Bora said. They're defending against an enemy that fights with honor. That engages in ship-to-ship combat at long range. They're not defending against us. What's the plan? Minho asked. Bora smiled. It was not a nice smile. We're going to do what humans do best. We're going to cheat. She activated the fleet-wide channel. All 6 ships could hear her now. This is Captain Bora. You all know the situation. We're outnumbered. We're outgunned. The enemy thinks we're going to run or surrender. They're wrong. We're going straight through them. She paused. Let that sink in. Here's how this works. Hawk, Eagle, and Falcon, you're with me. We're going to punch through their formation at maximum burn. We're not trying to destroy ships. We're trying to cause chaos. Target their sensors, their communications, their engines. Make them blind and confused. Storm and Thunder, you're going to hang back and provide long-range missile support. Launch everything you have. Don't save anything for later because there might not be a later. Another pause. When we break through to the flagship, I'm taking my boarding team straight into their command center. We're going to capture their warlord and force him to order a retreat. If that doesn't work, we'll blow the flagship from the inside and hope the rest of the fleet runs away. Either way, we're making these aliens regret the day they decided to attack Velthara. The channel erupted with cheers. Bora waited for them to quiet down. One more thing, she said. Some of you are scared. That's smart. This is probably suicide. But remember why we're here. There are people on that station. Our people. Ambassador Jiwan is down there. So is Commander Hayuk. They called for help and we answered. That's what humans do. We answer the call. No matter the odds. No matter the cost. Because that's what makes us human. More cheers. Louder this time. All ships prepare to drop from hyperspace in 3 minutes. Weapons hot. Safety's off. And remember, the Hrek have never lost a battle. Let's teach them what losing feels like. Bora cut the channel and sat in her command chair. Her heart pounded. Her hands were steady. She had done this before. Not against 90 ships, but the principle was the same. Find the enemy's weakness. Hit it hard. Don't stop until they break or you do. 2 minutes, Minho announced. Bora watched the countdown. Behind her, the bridge crew worked in focused silence. These people had trained together for 2 years. They knew each other's movements. They trusted each other with their lives. They were about to prove it. 1 minute, the ship began to shake. The hyperspace engines were preparing to dump them back into normal space. Bora gripped her chair's armrests. This was always the worst part. The moment before contact. The moment when you could still turn back, but humans didn't turn back. 30 seconds. Bora activated her personal comm. Commander Hyuk, if you can hear this, we're coming. Hold on. 10 seconds, the shaking got worse. Bora's teeth rattled. The lights flickered. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The ship lurched. Reality twisted, and suddenly they were there. Velthara Prime hung in front of them, burning. The station looked like a broken toy. Huge sections were torn open. Fires burned in the vacuum, fed by leaking oxygen. The wreck fleet surrounded it like hungry wolves around a dying deer. Contact, Minho shouted. The wreck are responding. 20 ships breaking formation to engage us. Only 20? Bora laughed. They're insulting us. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Hit them before they know what's happening. Talon group scattered like startled birds. The 3 destroyers burned forward at full throttle. The 2 frigates hung back and began launching missiles. Hundreds of missiles. More missiles than the wreck had ever seen from 6 ships. The wreck point defense systems tried to track them all. They couldn't. Missiles got through. 3 wreck destroyers exploded in quick succession. Then a cruiser. Then another destroyer. They're confused. Minho reported. Their formation is breaking up. They're not used to this kind of attack. Good, Bora said. Keep hitting them. Don't give them time to adapt. The 3 human destroyers dove into the wreck formation. They moved fast, firing as they went. They didn't try to destroy ships. They targeted sensors with electromagnetic pulse weapons. They targeted communication arrays with precision strikes. They dropped mines in their wake that detonated when wreck ships passed through. It was chaos. Beautiful, terrible chaos. The wreck tried to respond. They fired back with massive energy weapons that could vaporize a ship in one hit. But the human ships moved too fast, too unpredictably. They ducked behind debris. They used destroyed wreck ships as cover. They fired and moved and fired again. "We're through the first layer," Minho shouted. "Second layer is directly ahead." "Then let's say hello," Bora said. "All ships continue attack. Target the flagship, that big ugly one in the middle." The wreck flagship was massive, easily 3 times the size of Bora's carrier. Its weapons bristled like spines on a sea creature. It looked invincible. That was the problem with looking invincible. It made you confident, and confidence made you stupid. "Prepare boarding torpedoes," Bora ordered. "All teams to launch bays." "Hyunwoo, you have the bridge." Her second officer looked shocked. "Captain, you can't lead the boarding team yourself. That's too dangerous." "Everything about this is too dangerous," Bora said. "But if I'm asking my people to board that monster, I'm going with them." She stood up and headed for the door. "Captain," Minho called. "The wreck flagship is hailing us." "They want to talk," Bora stopped. "Put them on." The screen changed. A huge alien face appeared, reptilian, 4 eyes, teeth like knives. This was Warlord Kreth, commander of the wreck invasion force. "You are the human commander?" he asked. His voice was deep, like rocks grinding together. "I am," Bora said. "You have fought well, bravely, foolishly." Kreth leaned forward. "Surrender now?" "I will grant your crews an honorable death, quick, painless. This is mercy, is it?" Bora asked. She walked closer to the screen. "Let me tell you about human mercy. We call it something different. We call it revenge." She cut the channel and ran for the launch bay. Behind her, the battle raged on, and deep in the broken station, in a sealed emergency shelter, Ambassador G1 heard explosions in the distance and dared to hope. Maybe someone had answered after all. The boarding torpedo shook like it was trying to tear itself apart. Captain Bora gripped the safety harness and counted her breathing. Around her, 200 Marines did the same. They were packed into the torpedo like sardines. Their armor clanked against each other with every shake. 30 seconds to impact, the pilot announced over the comm. Bora checked her weapon one last time, a standard assault rifle modified for shipboarding. It fired rounds designed to punch through armor without breaching hull plates. She had used it dozens of times before. It felt comfortable in her hands. The Marine next to her looked young. Too young, his name tag said Seojun. He was sweating inside his helmet. "First boarding action?" Bora asked. "Yes, Captain," Seojun said. His voice shook a little. "You'll do fine," Bora said. "Just remember your training. Stay with your squad. Watch your corners. And if you see an alien with 4 eyes and too many teeth, shoot it until it stops moving." Seojun laughed nervously. "That's all of them, Captain." "Exactly," Bora said. The torpedo hit. The impact threw everyone forward against their harnesses. Metal screamed. Something exploded. Then silence. "Breach successful," the pilot said. "Hull integrity holding. You're clear to exit." The front of the torpedo blew open. Emergency lights flickered in the wreck corridor beyond. Bora released her harness and jumped out, rifle ready. Her Marines poured out behind her, forming a defensive perimeter. The corridor was massive. The ceiling was at least 5 meters high. Everything was built for creatures much larger than humans. The walls were dark metal covered with strange symbols. "Spread out," Bora ordered. "Squad 1, secure the left. Squad 2, secure the right. Squad 3, you're with me. We're going to the bridge." Alarms began to ring throughout the ship. The wreck knew they had boarders now. "Contact," someone shouted. A group of wreck warriors came around the corner. They were huge, maybe 3 meters tall, covered in scales, carrying weapons that looked like they could tear a human in half. Bora's Marines opened fire first. The wreck warriors raised shields and charged. They were fast for their size, but they fought like they always fought. In a line, moving forward, relying on strength and armor. The Marines scattered. Some went left, some went right, some dropped prone. They fired from multiple angles. The wreck shields couldn't block everything. Warriors fell. Then more came. "Grenades!" Bora shouted. 3 grenades bounced down the corridor. The HFY saw them and tried to retreat. Too late. The explosions filled the corridor with light and noise. When the smoke cleared, the HFY warriors were down. Keep moving, Bora ordered. Don't give them time to organize. Her team ran through the corridors. The ship's layout made no sense to human eyes. Corridors branched and twisted. Some went up. Some went down. Some seemed to lead nowhere, but Bora had studied the tactical scans. She knew where the bridge was. Straight ahead, up 3 levels. Through the central core, more HFY appeared. These ones were ready. They had set up defensive positions with heavy weapons. Energy beams cut through the air. 2 Marines went down screaming, "Cover!" Bora dove behind a support pillar. Her team scattered, looking for protection. This was the problem with boarding actions. The defenders knew the terrain. They could set traps. They could funnel attackers into kill zones, but Bora hadn't brought just rifles. "Seojin," she called. "You still alive?" "Yes, Captain." The young Marine was hiding behind a blast door. "You trained on demolitions, right?" "Yes, Captain." "Good. See that support beam? The big one holding up the ceiling?" Seojin looked. His eyes went wide. "Captain, if we blow that, the whole corridor will collapse." "Exactly," Bora said. "Do it." Seojin pulled out a demo charge. He armed it and threw. The charge stuck to the support beam. 5 seconds later, it exploded. The beam buckled. The ceiling groaned. Then everything came down. The HFY defensive position disappeared under tons of metal and debris. Their heavy weapons went silent. The corridor filled with dust and smoke. "Move." Bora ran forward, jumping over rubble. Her team followed. They found a maintenance shaft leading up. It was tight. The HFY probably never used it because they were too big, but humans fit perfectly. Bora's team climbed. Up 1 level. 2 levels. 3 levels. They emerged in a wider corridor. According to the tactical map, the bridge was just ahead, but between them and the bridge stood 50 HFY warriors. These weren't regular soldiers. These were elite guards, bigger, better armored, carrying weapons that glowed with power. And in the center stood Warlord Kreth himself. He was massive. The biggest HFY Bora had ever seen. His scales were dark red, almost black. His 4 eyes glowed with anger. He carried a weapon that looked like it could cut a tank in half. "You dare board my flagship?" he roared. "You dare bring your pathetic human tactics here?" "Tactics aren't pathetic if they work," Bora said. She raised her rifle. Her team did the same. "I challenge you to honorable combat," Kreth said. "Warrior to warrior. You and me. If you win, my fleet will withdraw. If I win, your people surrender." Bora laughed. "No," Kreth looked confused. "What?" I said no, Bora repeated. "We're not warriors. We're soldiers. There's a difference. Warriors fight for honor. Soldiers fight to win." She nodded to her team. Flashbangs, now. 20 grenades flew through the air. They detonated before the HFY could react. Blinding light. Deafening noise. The elite guards stumbled, their enhanced vision and hearing working against them. Bora's Marines charged. What followed wasn't a battle. It was a slaughter. The humans moved through the confused HFY like knives through butter. They targeted joints in the armor. They used the guard size against them, staying low where the big aliens couldn't easily reach. They worked in teams, 3 or 4 Marines taking down each guard. Kreth swung his massive weapon, trying to hit the small humans darting around him. He was strong. He was fast. But he was fighting alone, and the humans were fighting together. Seojin got behind him. 1 shot to the back of the knee. Kreth stumbled. 3 more Marines hit him from different angles. The warlord fell to his knees, roaring in rage and pain. Bora walked up to him. She put her rifle against his head. "You know what I learned about the HFY?" she said. "You've never lost a battle. You've conquered 7 star systems. You think you're invincible?" "We are invincible," Kreth growled. "Not against humans," Bora said, "because humans have been fighting wars since before we could write. We've fought each other. We've fought nature. We've fought extinction itself. And we've learned something you never had to learn. When the enemy is bigger and stronger, you don't fight fair. You fight smart." She pressed the rifle harder against his head. "Now you're going to broadcast a message to your fleet. You're going to order them to stand down and withdraw from Vilthera, or I'm going to blow your head off and take this ship apart piece by piece." "I will not surrender," Kreth said. "I am HFY. We do not surrender." "Then you die," Bora said simply. Your choice. For a long moment, nobody moved. The corridor was silent except for the sound of weapons charging. Bora's finger tightened on the trigger. Then Kreth's shoulders slumped. You are not like the other species, he said quietly. They fight with honor. With rules. With mercy. We learned the hard way that honor gets you killed, Bora said. Now make the broadcast. Kreth reached for his communication device. Slowly. Carefully. Bora's Marines kept their weapons trained on him. He activated the ship-wide channel. His voice boomed throughout the flagship and every ship in the fleet. This is Warlord Kreth. I have been defeated. The humans have taken the flagship. All ships are ordered to cease fire and withdraw from Velthara system immediately. This invasion is over. Silence. Then slowly the wreck ships began to power down their weapons. They started moving away from the station. Some looked like they wanted to fight. But without their leader, without orders, they retreated. Bora watched them go on a nearby monitor. 90 ships. The entire invasion fleet. Running away from 6 human ships, Captain, Seojin said quietly. We did it. We actually did it. We did, Bora agreed. She felt exhausted. Her armor was dented. Her muscles ached. She had lost 14 Marines in the boarding action. 14 people who wouldn't go home, but they had won. Secure the Warlord, she ordered. Get medical teams for our wounded. And someone contact the station. Tell them we're here. Tell them they're safe. As her team moved to follow orders, Bora walked to a viewport. Outside, she could see Velthara Prime. Broken, burning, but still there, still alive. She activated her personal comm. Admiral Deho, this is Captain Bora. Mission accomplished. The wreck fleet is withdrawing. Velthara is secure. We're beginning rescue operations now. There was a pause. Then Deho's voice came through, thick with emotion. Well done, Captain, well done. Bring our people home. Yes, sir, Bora said. She stood there for a moment longer, watching the wreck fleet disappear into the distance. They had come here expecting an easy victory. They had found humans instead. Now they knew. Now the whole galaxy would know. When you call for help in the darkness, when you have no hope left, when you make one last desperate call to the most dangerous species in the galaxy, they answer, and they bring hell with them. Ambassador G1 heard the explosion stop. After 4 days of constant bombardment, the silence felt wrong. Like something was missing. She sat in the emergency shelter with 30 other survivors, listening to the quiet. Maybe they're preparing for another attack, someone whispered. It was one of the Korthan delegates, the one who had wanted to surrender. Or maybe they're boarding the station, another voice said. Coming to finish us off in person. Quiet, Commander Hayek said. He stood by the shelter door, his weapon ready. His face was dirty and tired. He hadn't slept in days. None of them had. G1 checked her communicator again. Still no signal. The station's power was dead. The communication arrays were destroyed. They were trapped in this metal box with no way to call for help, and no way to know what was happening outside. Council Leader Tharn sat against the wall, all 4 arms wrapped around himself. He looked old, older than his 300 years. We should have listened to the warnings, he said quietly. About the wreck, about the need for a real military. We thought peace was enough. Peace is enough, Scientist Mireille said. She sat next to him. When everyone wants peace. But the wreck wanted war. And we had no answer for them, Tharn said. The shelter shook. Something hit the station. Or maybe something exploded nearby. Everyone tensed. Then Hayek's communicator crackled. A voice came through, broken, distorted, but a voice. Commander Hayek, do you read? This is Talon Group. We are currently securing the station. Please respond if you can hear this. Hayek grabbed the communicator. This is Hyuk. We're in emergency shelter 7 Beta. 30 survivors. The wreck, are they gone? Static. Then the voice came back. Affirmative. The wreck fleet has withdrawn from Velthara. The system is secure. We're sending rescue teams to your location now. Hold tight, the shelter erupted in noise. People crying. People laughing. People praying. Jiwan felt tears running down her face. They had survived. Somehow impossibly they had survived. How? Tharn asked. He looked at Hayek. How did they stop the wreck? Who stopped them? Hyuk was smiling. Really smiling? My sister, he said. Captain Bora. She commands Talon Group. She's here. But, Mireille said, how many ships does Talon Group have? The wreck had 90 capital ships, 90. Talon has 6 ships, Hayuk said. The shelter went quiet. 6 ships, the Corthan delegate said slowly. 6 ships defeated 90? Apparently, Yuk said. He looked proud. That's humans for you. We don't know how to give up. 20 minutes later, the shelter door opened. Light flooded in. Ji-won had to shield her eyes. When they adjusted, she saw human Marines in powered armor. Behind them stood a woman in a captain's uniform. She looked like Yuk. Same eyes, same stubborn expression. Commander, Captain Bora said. Good to see you alive. Good to be alive, Yuk replied. You took your time getting here. Traffic was bad, Bora said. Had to fight through 90 ships. The siblings hugged. Ji-won felt something warm in her chest. Relief. Hope. Things she thought she had lost. The rescue teams moved efficiently. They checked everyone for injuries. They provided food and water. They helped people out of the shelter and through the damaged corridors to the docking bay where human ships waited. Ji-won walked slowly. Her legs were stiff from sitting so long. The station looked worse than she imagined. Whole sections were gone. Bodies floated in areas where life support had failed. The beautiful crystalline walls were blackened and cracked. We'll rebuild, Tharn said. He walked beside her, supported by 2 Marines. Somehow we'll rebuild, will you? Ji-won asked. She didn't mean to sound harsh, but the words came out that way. The HFY destroyed 7 systems before this. They'll come back eventually. And when they do, what then? Tharn didn't answer. They reached the docking bay. Human ships filled the space. Medical teams worked on wounded. Engineers assessed damage. It was organized chaos. The humans moved with purpose like they had done this 100 times before. Maybe they had. Admiral Daiho was there. He had arrived with reinforcements 2 hours ago. He stood with Captain Bora reviewing tactical reports. When he saw Ji-won, he walked over. Ambassador, he said. I'm glad you're safe. Thank you, Ji-won said. Thank you for coming. I know Earth doesn't owe us anything. After how the Council treated humanity, you could have ignored our call. We could have, Daiho agreed. Some people argued we should. But we didn't join Galactic Society to become like everyone else. We joined to be better than we were. You saved us, Ji-won said. You saved thousands of lives. The Council won't forget this. Daiho smiled sadly. The Council will probably try to forget this as quickly as possible. We used brutal tactics, dishonorable warfare, cheating, some might say. That makes other species uncomfortable. You won, Ji-won said. That's what matters, is it? Daiho looked around the docking bay. At the injured aliens being treated by human medics, at the scared survivors being comforted by human Marines. Winning is easy. Living with the consequences is hard. 3 days later, a council meeting was called. The surviving delegates gathered in a temporary conference room on one of the human ships. Council leader Tharn stood at the head of the table. He looked better now. Cleaner, rested. But his eyes were still haunted. We owe humanity a debt, he began. They answered our call when we had no hope. They fought for us when no one else would. They saved Velthara and drove back the HFY Empire. Murmurs of agreement around the table. However, Tharn continued, and his voice got harder. We must discuss their methods. The human forces use tactics that the Council has banned for centuries. Surprise attacks, targeting communication systems, boarding actions, destroying support structures to collapse corridors. These are not the actions of a civilized military. The murmurs changed tone. Now there was disagreement. Mireille stood up. Civilization didn't save us. Human tactics did. But at what cost? The Corthan delegate asked. If we embrace these methods, we become like the HFY. Violent, aggressive, willing to do anything to win. The HFY lost, Hyuk said quietly. He stood near the back of the room. We won. That's the difference, is it? Tharn asked. Or are we simply replacing one dangerous species with another? Ji-won felt anger building in her chest. She stood up. You called us dangerous when you needed saving. You called us violent when you needed someone to fight for you. Now you're calling us uncivilized because we won. Make up your minds. Are we saviors or monsters? The room went silent. Both, Tharn said finally. And that's what frightens us. You proved you can defeat an enemy that conquered 7 systems. What happens when Earth decides it wants those systems? What happens when humanity turns its weapons on us? That's what you're really afraid of, Ji-won said. Not that we're violent. That we're better at violence than you are. Admiral Daiho stood. Everyone turned to look at him. Council leader Tharn asked a fair question. What happens when humanity decides to be an empire instead of an ally? I'll answer honestly. I don't know. He walked to the center of the room. Humans are capable of terrible things. Our history proves that. We've destroyed ourselves a dozen times. We've committed atrocities that would make the HFY look merciful. We are, without question, the most dangerous species you've ever encountered. The delegates looked scared. But, Deho continued, we're also capable of incredible things. We answered your call even though you've never been kind to us. We risked our lives for people who considered us barbaric. We fought for Velthara not because we wanted something from you, but because it was the right thing to do. He looked at Tharn. You asked what happens when humanity decides to be an empire. Here's my answer. It won't happen. Not because we can't. We could conquer half the galaxy if we wanted, but because we choose not to. We've seen what empires do. We've lived under them. We've fought them. And we've learned that peace isn't built through conquest. It's built through trust. Pretty words, the Korthan delegate said. But can we trust you? Can you trust any species? Deho replied. Can you trust the Veltharans? The Korthans? Each other? Trust isn't given. It's earned. And yes, we'll have to earn it. But you'll also have to try trusting us. Tharn was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. Admiral Deho, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally request that Earth join our alliance as a full member. Not as observers. Not as outsiders. As equals, the room erupted. Delegates arguing. Some agreeing. Some disagreeing. Voices raised in anger and hope and fear. Finally, Tharn raised his hands for silence. I know this is controversial. I know many of you are scared. I'm scared too. But the HFY proved something to us. Peace without the ability to defend it is just waiting to die. We need humanity. We need their strength, their tactics, their willingness to do what others won't. He looked directly at Deho. We need you to protect us from the darkness. Even if you are part of that darkness, Deho considered this. Then he nodded. Earth accepts. Under one condition. What condition? Tharn asked. You let us train your forces. Teach them human tactics. Make them dangerous. Because if the HFY come back, and they will come back, you can't rely on us being nearby to save you. You need to be able to save yourselves. You want to militarize the council? Someone asked, shocked. I want to make sure you survive, Deho said. There's a difference. The vote was close. But in the end, the council agreed. Earth became a full member. Human military advisors were assigned to council forces.